In the middle of Nevada, in rock that was once the floor of a tropical sea, 37 animals are lying where they died. Each one was the size of a humpback whale. Each one was a predator. They are all the same species. And there is almost nothing else in the rock with them. No fish, no other marine reptiles. Nothing large enough to feed a single one of these animals, let alone 37. They came to this place. They died in this place. And this place had nothing for them. That contradiction has sat in the Nevada desert for over half a century. Paleontologists have been arguing about it since the 1950s. Something brought these animals here. Something kept bringing them here. The rock says they did not all die at once. There is a famous answer to this question. You may have heard it. It says a giant cephalopod, something like a squid, something enormous, killed these animals and arranged their bones on the seafloor. That answer was never published in a peer-reviewed journal. It has been rejected by the people who work on this site. And in the next 15 minutes, you are going to see exactly why it fell apart and what replaced it. The real answer is stranger. It is written in the smallest bones at the site, and almost everyone walked past them for 70 years. The rock is called the Luning Formation. 230 million years ago, in the late Triassic, this was open water, a tropical shelf, sloping away from land, deep enough that the seafloor sat well below the reach of waves. The animal in it is Shonisaurus popularis. It was an ichthyosaur, not a dinosaur. That distinction matters. Ichthyosaurs were reptiles that went back into the sea and rebuilt themselves for it, arriving at a body shape that looks like a dolphin, for the same reasons a dolphin does. Long body, long, narrow snout, 4 flippers, unusually similar in size to each other. Estimates put the adults between roughly 13.5 and 15 meters, 44 to 49 feet. Mass estimates land somewhere between about 21 and 30 tons, and those are estimates, not measurements. Nobody has weighed one. For decades, Shonisaurus was drawn wrong. The reasoning was reasonable. The largest animals in the ocean today are filter feeders. The blue whale, the whale shark. Giant usually means gentle, and early material from the site did not obviously show teeth in the adults. So the reconstruction settled. An enormous, slow, harmless animal, straining small prey from the water. Then more of the site was worked. The fragmentary jaw, catalogued as UC meters P290269, carries teeth with deeply folded roots, set in individual sockets, divided by thin walls of bone. The 2022 study found robust cutting teeth throughout the jaws. Not a filter, not a suction feeder, a large-bodied predator that took large-bodied prey, which sharpens the contradiction rather than solving it. Because if these were apex predators, the site has a problem. There is no prey in it. What is in the rock is small. Clams, ammonoids, coiled shells, relatives of today's squid and octopus. The kind of thing that lives in a quiet, low-diversity sea. 37 of the largest predators of their world, in a place that could not have fed them. And then there is the way the bones are lying. In one quarry, at least 7 skeletons are preserved close together, on a single bedding plane, a single surface, a single moment in the rock. Some of the vertebrae are not scattered. They lie in rows, 2 rows, side by side. In 2011, a geologist named Mark McMenamin presented an idea about those rows at a Geological Society of America meeting. He argued the pattern was not an accident of burial. Two parallel rows of round discs, he pointed out, is what the underside of a cephalopod arm looks like. Two rows of suckers. He proposed that a very large cephalopod had killed these ichthyosaurs, dragged them down, and arranged their vertebrae deliberately. He proposed the arrangement was a self-portrait. The idea traveled fast, and it is worth being honest about why. It explained the assemblage in one stroke. Why so many? Why only this species? Why no prey? Because the prey was the ichthyosaurs, and the predator took them somewhere. It gave a cause to a pattern that looked too tidy to be random, and it came with a name people already knew. The name they gave it was the Kraken. A story that explains everything, arrives complete, and requires no further work, is the most dangerous shape an idea can take. Here is what happened when people checked it. First, the publication record. The Kraken hypothesis appeared as a conference abstract in 2011, a magazine article the following year, a second conference abstract in 2013, and a book chapter. It has never been published in a peer-reviewed journal. That is not a technicality. Peer review is the step where specialists in the specific field are required to try to break your argument before it becomes part of the record. Second, there is no animal. This is worth slowing down on, because soft-bodied things don't fossilize, is the reflex answer, and it is not correct. Squid and octopus relatives carry hard parts. A beak, made of the same material as your fingernails. Hooks along the arms in many groups. A gladius, the stiffened internal shell that gives a squid its shape. Those parts survive. They are recovered from Triassic rock in Idaho, in Germany, across the Mesozoic wherever conditions allow, under the right chemistry. Even the soft tissue goes through. Arms, fins, ink sacs, stomach contents. So the question is not whether a giant cephalopod could leave a trace. It is what it would take for the largest cephalopod that ever lived to leave none at all at the one site where it supposedly did its work, over layers spanning hundreds of thousands of years. From this rock, at this site, nothing. Third, and heaviest, the pattern does not need a cause. David Fastovsky, a paleontologist who was in the room for the presentation, wrote a response for the Paleontological Society, arguing that nothing at the site required a kraken. Ordinary processes covered every observation. Large disc-shaped vertebrae, released from a carcass on a seafloor, settle. They roll. They come to rest flat. Rows are what discs do. The pattern was read as a signature. It was sediment. And the reason this belongs in the episode, rather than being quietly skipped, is that the Kraken is still the version most people meet first. It out-traveled the correction by more than 10 years. Which leaves the original question standing, untouched, exactly where it was. 37 giants, one species, no food. Between 2014 and 2022, a team went back to the site and did something nobody had done. They recorded the whole thing in 3 dimensions, bone by bone, without moving any of it. They combined that with geochemistry from the surrounding rock and with material sitting in museum drawers since the 1950s. They tested the old explanations first. A mass stranding, a whole group driven ashore, the way whales sometimes are. The sediments say the seafloor here was too deep for that. Bodies sank to it. They did not wash onto it. A toxic algal bloom, or some poisoning event. The geochemical record shows no evidence of significant environmental disturbance in these layers. Whatever killed them left no signature in the water. A single catastrophe of any kind. This is the one that closes the door hardest. The clusters of bone are not all on one surface. They sit in different layers, separated by at least hundreds of thousands of years. That last point changes the shape of the question completely. This was not an event. This was a habit. For a span of time long enough to be measured in geological layers, these animals kept arriving at this one patch of ocean, generation after generation, long after any individual that could remember the first arrival was gone. So the team looked at who, exactly, was arriving. The assemblage is essentially single species. Other vertebrates are almost absent. That was known. What was new was the size distribution. Nearly every individual is a large adult. And among the material, some newly collected, some found in old museum collections, and scanned with micro-CT. There are bones from embryos and newborns. Between those two groups, nothing. No half-grown animals, no juveniles. An adult population and a newborn population in the same place, with the entire growing up stage missing. That is not what a feeding ground looks like. It is not what a death trap looks like. It is what a birthing ground looks like. The interpretation the team put forward is this: Shonisaurus gathered here, repeatedly, across enormous spans of time, and the gathering was probably tied to reproduction. Adults came to a quiet, deep, low-diversity stretch of water where very little else lived, including very little that would threaten a newborn. They gave birth. The young left. Some of the adults did not. The researchers are careful with it, and so should we be. Their own wording is that this grouping is potentially linked to reproductive activity. Behavior does not fossilize. What fossilizes is the pattern behavior leaves behind, and a pattern can have more than one cause. But if it holds, it means something specific. Gray whales and humpbacks make long migrations to give birth in safe water, returning to the same coasts year after year. That behavior would be at least 230 million years old, and it would not have started with mammals. It would have started with reptiles, in a sea that no longer exists. Here is what is still open. Nobody knows what killed the adults that stayed. A birthing ground explains why they were there. It does not explain why they died there, and the geochemistry says it was not a poisoned sea. Nobody knows where the juveniles went. Their absence is the strongest evidence for the whole interpretation, and it is also a hole in it, because we have no idea what the missing years of a Shonisaurus life looked like, or where they were spent. Nobody knows what these animals were eating. Cutting teeth and no prey in the rock is still, 12 years after the Kraken, an unresolved sentence. And nobody knows how far they came. Go back to the rock in Nevada. The thing that put 37 whale-sized predators into one bed of stone left no bones of its own. That much of the old story was right. It was never an animal. It was a behavior, a route these creatures held to for hundreds of thousands of years, for a reason we can only read sideways, from the bones of the ones that never left. The largest thing at that site is the one thing that could not fossilize. The next reconstruction is already on screen. Primeval blue.